WEZE is the station. Hello there, Rhonda. Hello there, Rhonda. Hello there, Rhonda.
Hello.
How are
I
you?
can't believe I'm calling. I've listened to you guys off and on for so long, and I never thought I'd be one of the callers.
Well, you almost weren't because I didn't push your button, but I'm glad that you...
technical error on our end, yes.
Yeah. Well,
A couple of very nice people earlier on the phone that were screening the calls. I kept calling it either at lunchtime or break time or whatever it was, and I said I can't give up. I gotta call them back.
Okay. Well, what is going on?
I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. I'm in a new marriage, married for a year, and it's been rocky from the get-go. It was rocky during dating. There were red flags. I love him very much, but there's a lot of emotional, verbal abuse, and he's dealing with a lot of issues, recovering alcoholic, depression. There's a lot here, and I want to be succinct. I don't want to be one of these callers that go on, and I just want to get to whatever points you guys need from me, but there's a lot. And I've worked on it, and we've gotten counseling. He's willing to work, then he's not. It's just a vicious cycle that the behavior continues. I actually believe in my heart, and I think God has convicted me that he may have borderline personality disorder.
Okay.
So did he counsel?
Okay, tell us what the red flags were before you got married.
Okay, red flags were moodiness, but really verbal abuse. Swearing, calling me names.
Before you got married? Before you got married?
That's before we got married, yeah. And he would break up with me, and anything could rock the boat. It could just be, the sky's blue, no, it's not. Or it could be something he felt strongly about, or a conversation. It would be like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Mm-hmm. And then he would admit, too, that he has behavioral issues, and he wanted to work on them. He stopped drinking. I finally had said, listen, it can't go on like this. And then he stopped drinking. He showed me some changes that said, okay, I will try to make this work. And then we got married, and even though he's a recovering alcoholic at this point, there are so many major issues.
Yeah.
And
now,
I see efforts there, and I've seen it, and I've heard it, but it continues. It just continues to happen.
So how long has he been recovering?
So it's been maybe 2 years that he's been sober.
Okay, sober for 2 years.
And working a program.
He
okay, and how old are you?
Do you really want to? Mm-hmm. Let's say early 40s.
Early 40s, and first or second marriage?
This is my first. This is his second.
Okay. What happened to his first?
I never got any answers. I would ask, and it would just be like a lot of things that I would try to ask and talk to him about. He'd either get upset, or he'd change the subject. Why do I need to know?
Okay, so what's the question for us then?
The question is, as a Christian wanting to work on a marriage and do the right thing by God, I don't know how much more help to continue to get and how much hope. God can do anything, and I know that. But God also puts processes in place, and I've tried these. When do you know enough to say, I got to throw in the towel, or continue to work on this? And if you do work on it, what does that look like? How does that play out as far as separation goes? How much time do you give someone to see consistent change? Because that's what I said. For full reconciliation, I need consistent change. We've been separated for a week now, and this is the third separation in a year.
Okay.
I come from a healthy background, great family, friends. I'm not perfect, but we are from opposite sides of the track. And
But let me just interject, Rhonda. But some of this you knew going into this.
I did.
So there was a certain amount of his behavior that you were willing to tolerate going into it. Now, you did put a limit on the drinking, said you have to stop drinking. I'm wondering if in the 2 years he's been going to AA, working a program,
very
staying
little.
consistent.
Yeah, there is some of that, but very little.
Okay. So some of this, now a year into it, you're saying, whoa, wait a minute. So has it increased so much more than you expected? What has changed so dramatically because it sounds very similar to how it was before?
It was, but now that we're married and living together, before when you're dating and you only see them occasionally, now where it's consistent under the same roof, day in and day out, I'm seeing the moodiness.
Sure.
Changes on a dime. Doesn't go to work one day. Stays in bed,
so it is more extreme.
Stays in bed, depressed.
It's more extreme than
lashing
you.
out at me
Yes.
and
Okay.
telling me I'm the one with the issues. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's pointing the finger
Yeah.
at me, and you start to feel like you're the one who's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, not irregardless, that's not a word. Regardless of what the marriage is doing. I mean, 2 years in recovery, you ought to see some, if he's working a program, has a sponsor, working the steps,
He doesn't have a sponsor.
well, there's something that would add to his character building.
Right.
But you see, you have recovery
Yeah.
from alcohol, but what does that really mean? What does recovery mean?
Well, if you don't have a sponsor, it's not full
Well, he's
on
also
working.
struggling
No, that's
with
a good point. You
depression.
can be sober and not recovering,
Right.
basically.
Right. You have all the
And with all these
isms.
other issues, as far as, like I said, the depression, he's a severely special needs child that can't walk or talk or function. That's, in and of itself, a huge issue.
Okay, but you
He
see,
threatened me with divorce.
Rhonda?
I mean, and then the next day he wants to work on it. It's so
Rhonda.
erratic.
Rhonda, the erratic behavior is what the problem is. It's the how do we become regulated within ourselves? If a child is not regulated in the first 5 years by a parent, they'll walk into childhood, adolescence, and adulthood with regulation problems. They have a hard time regulating their emotions, and as you're describing, they can be all over the map. They can be change on a dime, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, all this stuff. Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, who is it?
Dr. Jekyll.
Dr.
I
Jekyll.
know.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is here, you have a journey with him, and he has a possibility with you, with good help and coaching and therapeutic interventions, of changing a 40-year program that's been going on inside of him. The odds are
Right.
he drinks or did drink because he was trying to medicate these feelings inside, and then alcohol became a secondary problem. So you have to be thinking, this is not something he's going to be able to change on a dime. He's going to have to learn to get regulation with you and by himself and with others. And so I would say, number one, you're going to have to understand this is not going to go away with just a promise or a weekend. It's going to go away with some years of trying to rebuild
Repetitive,
a
consistent help.
consistent help where he learns to re-regulate.
Rhonda?
Also, the correct medication can help that regulation as well.
And in some
Yeah, they've changed his medication. He's off and on again with the counselor, off and on
Okay.
again. with
Okay,
the
so
marriage
Rhonda,
counselor.
in some ways, I think you both had the hope when you married that you would regulate each other.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
he thought you would regulate him, and you thought he would become regulated. And so now you've learned that isn't true. So now the hard work begins.
Okay, so are
But
you...
how do you make someone get the help
well,
that you
hold
know
on,
that
hold
they
on.
need?
I want to make you get some help. Are you going to Al-Anon? Are you going to Al-Anon?
Not
No.
yet. I've been
Okay.
wanting to, and I have.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things you can do that will give you, I would say, at least 90-degree change in the relationship. And that is quit telling him to get better and recover, and you start partnering with him in the recovery process. That means to me, you go to Al-Anon at least once a week, and you guys go to a speaker meeting, a speaker AA
Great.
meeting together, an open AA meeting that's a speaker meeting at least
I've been
once
to
a
one
week.
of those, yep.
Okay, so
Okay.
so now
I'm familiar
it's
with that.
not him, getting well because he's really sick and you're really perfect and you don't have to do anything. Now you guys are in this together.
Yes, yes, because the two of you bought into this together and you made a
Good
commitment to be together. And so doing it together, because I think he lashes out because he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he'll lash out at the closest thing.
Right, right.
Well, and true, for
Still not
his-
okay, but
Right, because I know he didn't have parents. He was adopted. He doesn't know his real parents. And the adopted parents, one died tragically. The other was abusive. I mean, I come from a stable family, so I understand that. And like you said, I knew it going in.
Okay, so
But yet-
Rhonda.
I need consistent changes.
Okay,
How do
so
I know
I'll tell you how you do that.
when to go back?
Let me
under
tell
the
you,
same roof?
there's two things. Number one, find a couples counselor that understands historical
Yep.
injuries and how to help repair those, okay? And go to couples work, because it's in couples work when you're together working together that the regulation begins. Individual work doesn't do the same thing, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just
No.
saying the same thing or a different thing can be accomplished in couples work. If he's willing to do that every single week and plus do everything that Jill and Steve told you to do, And then you might watch and say, okay, why don't you let me know when I might be less of an irritation to walk back in this house? I'm tired of going in and out. And then when he's willing to do his own work and be very consistent at his meetings, and he owns his instability, and he's on the right medication, and you might then choose to go back in once there's a plan established. But I would use that as a part of the boundary
Right,
of the
absolutely.
separation. When I see a clear plan here,
Yeah.
I will jump in and help.
Right. And here's what I'm willing to do.
And here's
as
what you
part
have
of
to do,
Right,
and here's
right.
what
So
we need
set
to
up
do.
the criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it in writing for
Okay,
him.
I'm going to send him a Life Recovery Bible, and I hope that will be a blessing to him. 2 million of those Bibles out there. And thank you for calling us. I hope something we've said is helpful. All right, let's go to Brian calling.
By the way, Steve, that is the value of premarital counseling.
Right. Yeah.
Right there, because if you get in with somebody that understands the stuff going in there, I try and talk couples out of it.
Yeah.
You know, are you sure this person is that, or you're this?
Or let's do these things before you make this commitment.
Well, absolutely,
Isn't that
but
what you're saying?
I want people to get married with their eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think you should get marriage counseling saying, we just want you to help us have the best marriage ever. I think you need to give the person license to say, man, I don't know. This needs some more time here.
Yeah, prove to me this is the right choice for you.
Yeah.